Hello. I'd like to welcome you to 17 Greendale, here in the village of Greendale, 63121. This is an interesting house in an interesting little community. Greendale, which is just south of Belnor, was developed primarily between the 1930s and the 1950s off of this golf course, which can be seen at the end of the road. And the golf course is actually just now coming to have completed a multi-million-dollar renovation. I was a little confused in looking at this house because it's a really neat architectural style. So looking at the front, you can see we have the two-story screen porch and these large overhangs. So with the brackets on them, we'll come around to this side here. These were much more popular earlier in the century, in the 1920s and 30s. This house, however, is listed as being built in 1950. Now, some of the construction techniques look consistent with 1950, but I'm wondering if it would have been built from an earlier plan book. You can see some of these brackets up here, copper flashings, and these wide eaves. Now when we go inside, just zoom in here, you're going to see that this house has had an addition. A lot of times, frame additions are built onto homes. But on this one, you can see very clearly that it was actually a brick addition that was built. And you can tell by the different color and style of brick that was used at the time. Coming back around to the front door, well, you can see a close-up of one of these brackets. And let me just lighten that up a little bit because it's a lot of brown paint there. And then as we enter, we have a nice little foyer here with its own window. Again, even the window trim does look like it's from an earlier design period in many cases. We come into a central, very large living room with a peaked archway into the dining. And the key feature of this home, the twin-story sun porch. So we have the downstairs room, which is accessed through these French doors. And it's set up very much as a sunroom. So the nice thing about a room like this is that with those French doors open, you can get the air conditioning from the main room. And this does have standard windows. These weren't added later either. You can tell by looking at these windows that these would have been original to the home because they used the original pulley and chain system. So those would have been installed when the house was built. Coming through, we have the dining room through this archway. Again, most of the windows have been updated with double pane, but we do maintain stained glass, which is another interesting little question mark. Again, that would have been much more common in the 1920s, 30s, 40s than in 1950. So looking down here, we have original hardwood floors, which add a nice degree of warmth. And then we have the kitchen. So here in the kitchen, let me back up so I can get it from this angle a little bit better. And I'll adjust the lighting. Really good size, actually. Dishwasher even. And then as we back up, I'll show you this wall. This wall is very thick because, as you remember from the outside where the brick changed, this would have been the original rear wall of the house, probably with some maybe French doors onto a little porch or something out here. This has been changed into a family room, which is probably much more practical for people. And then we have a bedroom on the ground floor here. So this again would have been built some point after the house was built in the addition. Hard to tell by the age of everything, but possibly in the 60s maybe. You know, like I say, this is a brick extension, so it was a quality construction project, but it was built a little bit afterwards. We have here a 3/4 bath in this room. All looks nice. And then we'll come around to the upstairs, back through the house this way, so I can take us up the stairs the main way. This banister definitely looks like it's from the later 30s and onwards. But again, we have this door here, which probably was not there originally. That goes down to that other bedroom we just came from. Walking upstairs, we have 3 bedrooms and a bathroom. Like this little knick-knack shelf that was built there at some point. First bedroom, which is the smaller of the 3. Probably more of an office-sized bedroom. Second, this one's a pretty good size. And again, there's likely hardwood underneath this carpet, but it may well. A lot of people don't like hardwood in their bedrooms anymore. It's a little colder. And then we have this room, which likely was the primary bedroom. So looking at this, you can see this one has a larger closet and does have access to this side porch. Now, as we look out here, this one also has these windows, but it would have likely also had screens in it originally, so that it could have been a sleeping porch, where you would have had either cots, which folded up, or hammocks or something like that to sleep from before air conditioning, which again makes me think that the part of this house, the older part, may have been built before 1950. I'm not sure. I'm going to try to do a little bit more research on this and see what I can find. Oh, you know what I just realized? I just forgot the bathroom there. Let's look at that. I knew I was missing something. Here we have a nice full bath. Coming inside, tiled shower. This looks like an older or maybe even original bathtub. It's nice and deep, unlike most of the ones today. We do have an overhead shower faucet as well, rainfall style. Marble vanity, toilet, and vinyl plank flooring in here, as well as a linen closet. Now I'm going where I need to go. We'll come back downstairs and then look out back. So as we come back around to the rear of the house, we can get a good look at the rear yard, which here is a pretty fair size for this era of home. Level, and thankfully untreed. And then we can turn back and look at the house here. So let's back up a little further and see what we can see. So here we can see that addition. I need to adjust the light again. There we go. That's a lot brighter. That looks better. And then we have this driveway / patio here. You can see that we also have the original style of driveway with the 2 cement tracks, the way they used to build them. And then in between we have the other, it was filled in at a later point for cars to use. Probably so your oil didn't drip on the grass that was growing up between the 2 tracks. And then coming around to the basement. This is a really cool house, and for 1950 has so many neat architectural elements to it that are beyond what you'd think for that age. You can see here the crawl space under that addition, and the basement underneath the house. So nice things I can see. It's been updated. PVC stack where that had been done under the floor. It's always nice when you see new concrete on the floor of a basement. Usually means that plumbing has been updated beneath it. Little storage room. Furnace and water heater. Laundry area. And then just taking a look up here in these joists, you can see the way this floor was done, definitely using pre-war techniques. So I'm really interested to find out a little bit more that I can about this home. It's really an interesting one, and it does have, I love those overhanging eaves, almost a call out to even earlier homes, you know, which this definitely isn't, but those overhanging eaves, the brackets, is something that you'd see more in the early 20s and even, you know, around World War I. Although the floor plan of this house is definitely in keeping to the World War II era. There's just these little elements that make you wonder what the story is with here. Maybe someone built it from a plan book, you know, that they really fell in love with and then they didn't get to build it till 1950. Like I say, if I find out more, I will post more. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Please remember to like and subscribe. Thank you.